I was sitting in my car outside the Rosewood, staring at the gift box in the passenger seat. Inside was a photo album I had spent weeks putting together for my mother's 65th birthday. Every page held a memory, a moment, a piece of love. But as I looked at the restaurant entrance, something in my chest tightened. I knew tonight would be difficult. My father had a way of making everything about him, about success, about money. My brother Gregory had just returned from a business trip, and everyone was excited to see him. I grabbed the box, told myself this time would be different, and stepped out. But as I walked toward that door, something in the air made me uneasy. I pushed through anyway, forcing a smile I did not feel. Before I tell you what happened that night, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments below. And if you have ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is going to show you exactly what happens when the underestimated finally stands up. Now let me take you back to that restaurant. Let me give you some context. My name is Leonard and I am 32 years old. I teach history at a public high school. The pay is modest, but it is steady and I love what I do. I live in a small one-bedroom apartment about 20 minutes from the school. My life is simple, but it is mine. My brother Gregory is 7 years older than me. He is 39, the CEO of a financial consulting firm, and he lives in a downtown penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He drives a car that costs more than I make in 2 years. He wears suits that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My father, Richard, is a retired bank director. To him, success has always meant one thing: money and status. He measures worth in dollar signs and job titles. My mother, Patricia, is a retired nurse. She is kind, warm, and she understands me in ways my father never has. But she rarely speaks up when my father goes too far. Growing up, I was always compared to Gregory. Report cards, sports teams, college choices, career paths. Everything I did was measured against what Gregory had already done better. When Gregory got into an Ivy League school, I went to a state university. When Gregory bought his first luxury car, I was still driving a 10-year-old sedan. The comparisons never stopped. The restaurant was beautiful that night. The Rosewood is one of those places where everything feels expensive, from the leather chairs to the soft lighting. My father had reserved a private corner table for about 15 people. There were grandparents, aunts, uncles, and a few of my mother's close friends. I arrived exactly on time. Gregory showed up 15 minutes late, but when he walked in, you would have thought a celebrity had entered. People stood up, hugged him, asked about his latest business deal. My father beamed with pride. I waited my turn, then walked over to my mother. She hugged me tightly and whispered, "You being here makes me so happy." I handed her the gift box. She opened it carefully, and when she saw the photo album, tears filled her eyes. Every page had handwritten notes next to pictures of her with Gregory and me over the years. She touched the pages, gently smiling through her tears. My father glanced at it for maybe 3 seconds, then turned to Gregory. "So tell me about the international contract. Did it close?" Gregory launched into a story about some deal with a European firm. Everyone listened, nodding, impressed. My moment with my mother was already forgotten. As we ordered food, my father kept steering every conversation back to Gregory. He asked about profits, partnerships, expansions. He told everyone at the table how proud he was, how Gregory was changing the financial world. My Aunt Martha, trying to be polite, turned to me. "Leonard, how is teaching going?" I started to answer, talking about a student who had just earned a scholarship to college because of the extra time I had spent tutoring him. I was mid-sentence when my father cut in. "Teaching. What is there to say? Low pay and endless stress." The table went quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your skin crawl. My mother tried to save the moment. "The salmon here is supposed to be excellent. Should we order some for the table?" I forced a smile and nodded, but the damage was done. My Uncle Robert, my father's younger brother, shot my father a look, but said nothing. Gregory stared at his menu, avoiding eye contact with me. Dinner arrived, and for a few minutes the focus shifted to the food. But my father was not done. As we ate, he started dropping comments, little jabs, small cuts. I mentioned that one of my students had written an essay that got published in a state education journal. My father's response, "That is nice. So you are teaching kids to write. Now, meanwhile, you are stuck at a teacher's salary for the rest of your life." My Uncle Robert tried to help. "Teaching is a noble profession, Richard." My father shrugged. "Noble, sure, but noble does not pay the bills. I did not raise my sons to be noble and poor." I felt my face flush. My hands clenched under the table. I focused on my plate, trying to breathe through the anger rising in my chest. Gregory, sitting across from me, still said nothing. He just kept eating like he could not hear what was happening. My mother reached under the table and squeezed my hand. It was a small gesture, but it was something. Then my father started telling stories. Stories about Gregory and me as kids. How Gregory always brought home perfect grades while I struggled in math. How Gregory was the star of his soccer team while I sat on the bench. How Gregory graduated top of his class while I was just average. He talked about the day Gregory bought his first luxury car, a sleek black sedan he had worked hard to afford. He talked about how Gregory had just been promoted again, moving even higher in his company. Every story was a comparison. Every memory was a competition I had lost years ago. People at the table started shifting uncomfortably. My grandmother looked down at her hands. My Aunt Martha sipped her wine and said nothing. Even my father's friends seemed uneasy, but my father did not notice, or maybe he did not care. My grandfather, my mother's father, finally spoke up. "Richard, today is Patricia's birthday. Maybe we should focus on celebrating her." My father laughed. "I am just being honest. Nothing wrong with honesty." I could feel my heart pounding in my ears. My jaw was clenched so tight it hurt, but I stayed silent. I did not want to ruin my mother's night. I kept telling myself to just get through it, just survive this dinner, and then I could leave. But there was something my father did not know, something no one at that table knew except Gregory and me. 6 months ago, Gregory had shown up at my apartment late one night. His face was pale, his hands were shaking, and he looked like he had not slept in days. He sat on my couch and told me the truth. His company was in trouble. A major investment had gone bad, and the firm was bleeding money. If things did not turn around in 3 months, the company would go under. Gregory was terrified. He could not tell our father. The shame, the disappointment, the failure, it would have destroyed him. So he came to me. He needed $250,000 to keep the company afloat. I did not have that kind of money. I am a teacher, but I had been saving for 8 years. Every summer I worked as a tutor. Every extra dollar went into a savings account. I had been planning to buy a small house one day, maybe start a family. I had saved $90,000. It was not enough. So I did something I never thought I would do. I took out a loan against my apartment. I put up everything I owned as collateral and borrowed another $260,000 from the bank. I gave Gregory $350,000. Every cent I had plus money I did not even have yet. He promised he would pay me back within a year. He promised he would tell our father the truth once the company was stable again. He promised. That was 6 months ago. Gregory had not paid me back a single dollar, and he had not told anyone the truth. He let our father believe that everything was perfect, that his business was thriving, that he was the golden child who could do no wrong. And now, sitting at this table listening to my father praise Gregory for being successful while mocking me for being a failure, I realized something. Gregory was not going to keep his promise. He was going to let me be the disappointment forever. Dessert came. Chocolate cake for my mother, her favorite. She smiled and thanked everyone, but I could see the sadness in her eyes. This was supposed to be her night, and my father had turned it into another Gregory appreciation event. My father stood up. He tapped his glass with a fork, and the table went quiet. "I want to say a few words," he began. "Patricia, you have been an amazing wife and mother. You raised 2 boys, and I know that was not easy." People nodded, smiling. My mother blushed. Then my father turned to Gregory and me. "I also want to thank my sons. They are very different, but they are both my boys." He raised his glass toward Gregory. "Gregory, you have made me so proud. Your company is thriving. You are closing deals with international firms. You have built something real, something powerful. You have become someone." Everyone clapped. Gregory stood and nodded, accepting the praise like he deserved every word. Then my father turned to me. I felt my stomach drop. My heart started racing. Maybe he would say something kind. Maybe this time would be different. He paused, and for a second I thought I saw something soften in his eyes. "And Leonard?" I held my breath. "I also want to thank Leonard." Relief washed over me. He was going to acknowledge me. He was going to say something good. But then he continued, "Thank you for staying exactly where you belong." The words hit me like a punch. I felt the air leave my lungs. He kept going, his voice dripping with condescension. "Not everyone is meant for greatness. Some people are born to do ordinary things, live ordinary lives, and that is okay. That is fine. The world needs teachers and bus drivers and cashiers. We cannot all be CEOs." He raised his glass higher. "So thank you, Gregory, for becoming someone. And thank you, Leonard, for staying right where you are." The room went silent. Not the polite kind of silence, the uncomfortable, suffocating kind. A few people tried to clap, but it was weak, half-hearted. Most people just stared at their plates. My mother's face went pale. Her eyes filled with tears, and she looked at my father like she did not recognize him. My grandmother shook her head slowly. My Uncle Robert looked away. Gregory finally spoke. "Dad, do not say it like that." But his voice was quiet, weak. He was not defending me. He was just trying to make himself feel better. My father sat down satisfied. He thought he had given a great speech. He thought he had been honest and funny. I sat there frozen. My hands were shaking. My face felt hot. Every eye in the room was on me, filled with pity or embarrassment, or both. I stood up slowly. My chair scraped against the floor. Everyone looked at me. I walked over to my mother and kissed her on the cheek. "Happy birthday, Mom. I love you." She grabbed my hand. "Please do not go." I smiled at her, a real smile this time. "I am okay. I just need some air." She squeezed my hand, tears running down her face. I walked out of the private dining area. People probably thought I was going outside to cool off, to collect myself. But I did not go outside. I went straight to the front desk. The hostess looked up at me. "Can I help you, sir?" "I need the bill for the table in the back corner, all of it." She looked confused. "The bill will be brought to your table at the end of the evening, sir." "I want to pay it now, everything. The food, the drinks, all of it." She hesitated, then printed out the bill. $1,200. My father had ordered expensive wine. The meals were not cheap. The total was more than I made in a week. I pulled out my credit card and handed it to her without hesitation. "Are you sure, sir? Completely." She ran my card. I signed the receipt. I kept a copy for myself. "Should I let your party know?" she asked. "No. Let them figure it out." I walked out of the restaurant, got into my car, and sat there for a moment. My hands were still shaking, but not from sadness anymore. From clarity. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a name I had not called in months. David Brennan, my lawyer. It was Saturday night, almost 9 o'clock. I did not care. The phone rang twice. "Leonard? Everything okay?" "David, I need you to draft something for me. Tonight, if possible." "What is it?" "A formal demand letter. I loaned my brother $350,000 6 months ago. I have the signed contract. I want it back. All of it. He has 30 days. There was a pause on the other end. Leonard, are you sure that is your brother? I know exactly who he is, and I am done waiting. Another pause. Okay, I will have it ready by Monday morning. Thank you. I hung up. I started my car, looked back at the restaurant one last time, and drove away. Inside the restaurant, about 10 minutes after I left, my father called for the bill. The server came over and smiled. The bill has already been taken care of, sir. My father frowned. What do you mean? It was paid earlier, in full. By who? A gentleman from your party, the younger one. The server gestured vaguely toward where I had been sitting. My father went quiet. Gregory looked up confused. My mother covered her mouth with her hand. No one said anything. The celebration was over. People started gathering their things, saying awkward goodbyes. My mother left without speaking to my father. She got a ride home with my grandmother. My father tried calling me. I did not answer. Gregory tried texting. I did not respond. The party ended in silence. 3 days later, on Monday morning, Gregory was sitting in his office when his assistant brought in an envelope. It was from a law firm. He opened it, and his face went white. Inside was a formal demand letter. It laid out the entire loan, $350,000, the signed contract, the payment terms, and a demand for full repayment within 30 days. Gregory called me immediately. I let it go to voicemail. He called again and again. I ignored every call. Finally, he showed up at my apartment that evening. I opened the door, but did not let him in. Leonard, please, we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. You signed a contract. Honor it. I cannot pay that back in 30 days. The company is just getting stable. If I pull that money out now, everything will collapse. That is not my problem, Gregory. You made a promise. You broke it. I was going to pay you back. I just needed more time. You have had 6 months. And in those 6 months, you let Dad humiliate me in front of everyone. You sat there and said nothing while he called me a failure. You let him believe you were thriving when the only reason you are still in business is because of me. Gregory's face crumpled. I am sorry. I should have said something. I should have told Dad the truth. Yes, you should have. But you did not, because it was easier to let me be the disappointment. That is not fair. Fair. You want to talk about fair? I stepped closer. I gave you everything I had. I put my apartment on the line. I wiped out 8 years of savings. I trusted you, and you repaid me by letting Dad treat me like garbage. Gregory looked down. What do you want me to do? I want you to honor the contract, 30 days, or I take legal action. He nodded slowly, then turned and left. That night, Gregory went to my parents' house. He told them everything. He told my father that 6 months ago the company had nearly failed. He told them that I had loaned him $350,000 to save it. He told them that he had been too ashamed to admit the truth. My father sat in stunned silence. My mother cried, Leonard saved you. And Richard, you stood up at my birthday and humiliated him. How could you? My father did not answer. For the first time in my life, I think he realized he had been wrong. The next day, both my father and Gregory showed up at my door. I opened it, but did not invite them in. My father looked older than I had ever seen him. His shoulders were slumped. His voice was quiet. Leonard, I owe you an apology, a real one. I crossed my arms and waited. I have spent your entire life comparing you to your brother. I measured your worth by how much money you made, what kind of car you drove, where you lived. I was wrong. I did not see you. I did not see what kind of man you are. He paused, his voice breaking slightly. You saved your brother. You gave him everything you had, and you did not ask for anything in return. And I repaid you by mocking you in front of everyone who matters to you. I am ashamed of myself. Gregory stepped forward, tears streaming down his face. I let you down, Leonard. You saved me and I sat there while Dad destroyed you. I should have stood up. I should have told the truth. I was a coward. I looked at both of them. Part of me wanted to slam the door. Part of me wanted to tell them it was too late. But another part of me, the part that still remembered being a kid and looking up to my big brother, the part that still wanted my father's approval, that part was listening. I do not need the money right away, I said finally, but I need respect. I need to be seen, not as the failure, not as the disappointment, as a person who matters. My father nodded, wiping his eyes. You matter. You have always mattered. I just could not see it. My mother appeared behind them. She had been waiting in the car. She walked up and hugged me tightly. You have never been invisible to me, never. I hugged her back, and slowly, carefully, I started to let them back in. Over the next 2 months, things began to change. My father and I started meeting for coffee once a week. He asked about my students, my lessons, my life. He listened, really listened. For the first time, he asked questions because he cared, not because he was looking for something to criticize. One day he came to my school. There was an awards ceremony for students who had shown outstanding improvement. 3 of my students were being honored. My father sat in the back of the auditorium and watched as those kids walked across the stage. Afterward, one of them, a girl named Maya, came up to me and hugged me. Mr. Leonard, I would not be here without you. Thank you. My father saw that. He saw the impact I had. And for the first time, I think he understood what success really meant. Gregory paid me back every dollar within 6 months. He added interest. He apologized at least a dozen more times. And slowly we rebuilt our relationship. Not as rivals, not as the golden child and the disappointment, as brothers. I learned something through all of this. Your value is not determined by how much money you make or what title you hold. Your value is in how you treat people, how you show up, how you love. I spent years trying to earn my father's approval, trying to prove I was enough. But the truth is, I was always enough. I just needed to believe it myself. A year later, my mother turned 66. We had another birthday dinner. This time it was smaller, just family. My father stood up to give a toast, and I braced myself. But this time he looked at me first. Leonard, I want to thank you, not for staying where you belong, but for teaching me what it means to truly succeed. Success is not about money. It is about character. And you have more character than I ever gave you credit for. He raised his glass. To Leonard, the man who saved his brother stood up for himself and taught his old man that he still had a lot to learn. Everyone clapped. This time the applause was real. My mother was crying again, but this time they were happy tears. Gregory stood up and hugged me, and I realized something. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. And sometimes that is exactly what brings people back to you. So if you have ever been underestimated, overlooked, or made to feel like you do not matter, I want you to know something. You do matter. Your worth is not defined by other people's opinions. It is defined by who you are when no one is watching. Stand up for yourself. Walk away if you have to, because the people who truly love you will find their way back. Have you ever had to stand up to your family? Have you ever felt invisible in your own home? Drop a comment below and share your story. I would love to hear it. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for listening. I hope you find the courage to know your worth. Take care, and remember, you are enough.